Hi everyone, we're ready for round two, part two of the Word Masters Challenge. These are the next 11 words, or words 15 through 25. Your homework due for Tuesday, January 28th is to pause the video after each word and develop your flashcards. On the front of the card should be the word, on the back of the card, the parts of speech and definitions. So let's get started. First is a great adjective to describe a personality. It actually would have come in handy great with our work with Scrooge, and that is crotchety. And crotchety means that you're given to odd notions or whims or grouchiness. And the example would be Scrooge reacting to the boys caroling outside of his door at the beginning of the story. So it's if you describe someone as crotchety, you mean that you usually tend to behave in a way that's kind of grouchy or nasty, maybe like this woman here. Or if you're familiar with the Disney digital movie Up, Mr. Fredrickson at the beginning was kind of crotchety until the little boy was able to change his opinion on life. So that's crotchety, and again, it is an adjective usually used to describe a personality. Misgiving. Misgiving is a feeling of doubt or distrust or like apprehension or anxiety. You might feel like one of your friends is kind of betraying you, or if you tell them something that is meant to be kept a secret, you might have a misgiving that they might go share that with someone who wouldn't want to hear it. And I like this image for this one because you can see that although it seems like these guys are having a good time, this guy over here in the pink shirt may be having a misgiving that this guy might be ready to metaphorically stab him in the back, or do something sneaky. So again, misgiving is any feeling, it's a noun, any feeling of doubt or distrust. Swagger, none of you better get this wrong on the quiz. Swagger is two types of verbs. It means to walk or strut with a defiant air, the way you swagger into a room like you own the place. And the second verb is to boast or brag noisily. So this is a hysterical meme of a cat who has done well on its final exam, and it's swagger out of the room because it's proud of itself. And then here's a cute baby onesie of, I don't want to brag, but I got so much swag. And bragging and swag are almost synonymous. And as a noun, your swagger is a defiant or boasting manner of behaving. It's almost like a display of arrogance. You guys who followed the NFC Championship game, the way that cornerback for the Seahawks, Sherman, reacted, is an example of swagger. Swagger might be like the Ray Lewis dance when he comes out on the field. It's anything that seems like you're boasting or bragging or making a show of yourself. Impervious. Impervious is a really great word to know, and it's three adjectives. And one of the things I should have mentioned before we started was with these words, the definitions themselves are pretty easy, but there are a lot of definitions and parts of speech you have to remember and be able to recall. And the first adjective means not allowing passage or penetration. For example, you would want your galoshes or your rain boots to be impervious to rain or to water. As an adjective, it also means unable of being injured or impaired. So, for example, Superman is impervious to bullets. The only thing he is not impervious to is kryptonite, which is his weakness. I'm trying to think of another example here. Superman's the only one I can think of at the moment. And the last one, as an adjective, is unable of being influenced, persuaded, or affected. So despite, get ready to have your minds blown, your incessant groveling about going to the movies, your parents might be impervious in their stance that you're not ready to see a rated R movie. Pretty good, huh? And here's an example of this donkey is being kind of stubborn or unable to be persuaded by its owner. Blight is a noun, and blight is most commonly used to discuss plants, and it means the rapid discoloration, wilting, and death of a plant. And it's usually brought on by some kind of disease. And here is an example. You can see the brown kind of grayed areas of the decay, and that's where the discoloration is occurring. Um, it can also mean any cause of destruction, ruin, or frustration. And I made the comment here that missing assignments is the blight of my school day. It's just a really frustrating thing to have to deal with sometimes, which is why you're all doing these cards on time, I am sure. Next one is a verb, and it's used with an object to cause wither or decay. And the last one is a verb used without an object, which is to suffer from blight. Sometimes you may also hear it used to describe housing conditions. You can see here. Let me just expand this for you. These houses are in a state of blight. It's kind of falling apart and decaying pretty rapidly. Obliterate, very similar to annihilate, which is one of our words in the first round. Obliterate is to remove or destroy all traces of, to do away with or destroy. For example, if this bomb were to go off, you can assume that it would obliterate everything around it and leave no trace of it. You could also use it in terms of you obliterated a team, like the scoreboard 100 to 12. You obliterated that team. The other verb it can be used to is to blot out or make unreadable. So, for example, if you scratched out some of your writing because you didn't like that part in your journal, you could obliterate it so there's like no traces of it left over. Secluded, as an adjective, two adjectives. It means sheltered or screened from activity or view. And the example would be like a secluded island. Some people on their vacations like to go to places that are secluded because it's away from everybody else and they get some quiet time. Secluded as an adjective can also mean withdrawn from or having little human or social interaction. Scrooge as solitary or secluded as an oyster. And here's a picture of a guy who seems to just want to be by himself. So again, secluded could mean kind of sheltered or screened away from something, usually referring to a location. Or it can mean a person or group of people that are withdrawn and have little kind of human or social interaction. And in both cases, they're adjectives. Access. A lot of definitions here to think about. Access as a noun is the ability, right, or permission to use or enter. So, for example, he had accessed, should say, to the computer lab after school. Noun can also mean, as a noun, it also means a way to approach or enter, as in the only access to the house was a windy dirt road. And as a verb, it means to gain the right or permission to use or enter. I can access Edline on my iPad. So again, we're talking about access. We're talking about the permission or right to do something or go somewhere. And again, don't forget we've got noun, and verb as our parts of speech. Your parts of speech should be on every card that you have. Encroach. Encroach is a verb, which means to go beyond proper limits or boundaries. So, for example, if you encroached over the line of scrimmage in football before the ball is snapped, that penalty is called offside. It's also called encroachment. And it also means to trespass on the property, space, or rights of another. So, for example, if you cheated on a test, you may encroach on others' rights to have the test taken fairly. Discharge. Discharge has quite a few. We got 5 different definitions to talk about. It is a verb to unload, or it basically means to unload. So you can discharge the Mack truck. You can discharge a weapon, as seen here on the screen. It could also mean to relieve of a duty or obligation. For example, you may hear that A soldier has been honorably discharged, which means that the army has recognized his or her service and is relieving him or her of their duty. Um, Another verb is to release or send away early. So, for example, on some Wednesdays we discharge early from school and we discharge the students around 1 o'clock. As another verb, it could mean to get rid of a burden. So, if you studied for this quiz and you know all the words, in some ways you've discharged that fear of not doing well um, on the quiz, and you can just relax and do well on the quiz. And lastly, it's a noun, and it's the act of unloading or relieving something. So a discharge is the act of unloading or relieving something. Furtive is next, and you may have heard furtive before. It's an adjective, and it means sly and shifty. Students trying to hide that they are chewing gum can often be very furtive. For an example, here's a guy kind of sneaking or snooping around pretty furtively. This is also a ninja, sneaking up on someone. Ninjas are known to be very furtive. Good. I hope this video helped. So your homework assignment again is to have the 11 words on flashcards, the word in the front, parts of speech and definitions on the back. Thanks for your time and continued hard work. Have a great day.